Welcome back to part 11 of the Steampunk Jewelry Tutorial Blue Jean Dream by the Gilded Monocle. We're going to go ahead and complete our pendant, and we're also going to add a little more interest to our piece by actually weaving the chain through some of the blue jean material. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and grab some Rub and Buff, which is a really great patina, and it covers metal with different colors. This particular one I'm using is antique bronze, and I'm doing that just to take down this sort of red copper look just a bit. I'm just literally, it's like the name says, you rub and buff it. You just rub a little bit in and then just buff it off to the look you want. Sometimes I go over some of the other elements of the piece just to get the look I want. It just tones down that kind of orangey red. I like the copper look because obviously it goes with our copper tubing, but I just wanted to take it down just a little bit to kind of blend in better with the rest of the piece. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the same brand of stuff, but we're going to use the actual patina. The one before I was using was antique bronze, and you can get this at any craft store for just a few bucks. This one is the color is patina, and it gives kind of a copperized look, like the copper's been out in the rain, and I believe it's oxidized, and it has turned almost that kind of green color that you see on some of the older buildings. And I'm just adding a little bit of this to our copper tubing, especially in the crevices where we put some of the Sharpie and we did the ferric chloride. So this will just give a little more interest to the piece. Again, if you don't really want to add that, you don't have to. It's up to you. We'll just go ahead and attach our pendant here with the jump ring and just close that off. And what we're going to do next is we're actually going to add a little more interest to our piece and actually weave our chain through our blue jean material. And the way we're going to do this is you can either get a hole punch. I just have a clay working tool that I kind of use sometimes. An X-Acto knife works well. Whatever, a pair of scissors. Just go ahead and make a small incision or hole in the blue jean material where you would like to weave the chain through, and then we're going to go ahead and use some fasteners to go ahead and put those through, just like your regular eyelets that you'd see in any fabric store. You can also go online and find some really interesting ones. There's some really great online stores too, like eyelets.com and some others that carry some really interesting eyelets and brads and things like that. And right now I'm just trying to lay out the piece the way I want it so I can keep the twist in the direction that I want to go, and also keep the fabric sort of folded in a particular way. So you want to make sure that you have the fold and the crease that you want before you actually set the eyelet, because otherwise the twist you have may actually come out and it won't look as well. And we're going to use the chain going through the fabric to sort of set that twist in the material so that it doesn't come out. And again, in the previous tutorial, I told you that you can, in fact, use glue to do this, but the chain is another way, both to add some interest and also to go ahead and do this. And I'm taking some Rub and Buff, just a little bit of it. This is, again, the antique bronze color. I'm just taking a tad here, and I'm actually rubbing it on my eyelet just to give it a little shininess. If you have a metal eyelet, this will work great. If they're plastic, it won't work as well. And these, of course, are just the metal ones, and you just kind of rub it in. And then once you finish that, you can get your eyelet setter. You can also do it with a hammer, just the same way you would do any other type of eyelet. And I just go ahead and use the tool because it's easier. Just go ahead and put that in there and set it, and then you'll run your chain through. Just make sure you get all the material you want through there. and just clean up any edges with some pliers. And then you may have to undo some of your chain to sort of get it through the eyelet, which that's fine. We're used to going kind of backwards and then forward. And sometimes the material comes out, so just go ahead and try to push it back through. Let's go ahead and run our chain through. And then just don't forget to, pull it all the way back through the copper tubing. And because depending on where you placed your embellishments and how you want the chain to hang on the necklace as it passes through the eyelet, you may have to undo one or more of the jump rings to put it through. It just really depends on how your piece looks. But as you can see on this particular piece, I will have to undo some of the jump rings here just to pass it through, and possibly two. We'll see. But you just go ahead and run that through, and you want to have it some length hang because you want it to drape. That's kind of the fun thing about this necklace, is you want to have some tiers and some interest in it. So you want to leave some of it sort of hanging or draping along the neckline. So once we get that through, we'll go ahead and reattach the other one. Just make sure you get it all the way through where you want it to hang, and then pass it back through the copper tubing, and of course reattach it. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that whichever part has the beads, you want that to be on the lower end of the tier. Otherwise, when the necklace hangs, it will look awkward because it will fold over the material and it won't hang properly. If you're not sure, just always test it on yourself. Put the necklace on, look at how the weight of the beads hang and the direction, and then you can get an idea of how it looks. You can also use one of the little necklace dummy things, mannequins. That also helps too, but it really works better if you wear it yourself, just so you get an idea, because the plastic and cardboard pieces aren't always a good indication of how things lay on a human body. So it helps if you don't lose your X-Acto blade. But again, we're going to go ahead and make another hole, and we're going to put another eyelet through this other side to match. Again, placing the side with the bead on the lower end of the tier or hanging closer toward the skin.